Hi, I'm back. I wanted to talk about the magic flute because it was the first opera I ever listened to when I was 16 or 17, and I was going through a lot of existential identity searches, like you do as a teenager. And also, the thing that really got me listening to opera was the fact that I read somewhere that if you're doing exams and you're nervous, Mozart and Vivaldi can stimulate your mind. I listened to the magic flute and it was Chinese to me. It was so foreign. However, I listened to it, it was like a different language, it really was. And then I actually started to like, it's Osiris and Osiris, the bass thing. And I think for me it was a revelation because it was sort of like the most sort of like traumatic and heavy no substance as in drugs, but like the most heavy sort of burdened sort of thing. And I think at the time I was going through a lot of stresses, and I was afraid of the exams, and I was going through a lot of existential stuff. I wasn't even in the subject I wanted to do at school, and I had to do my baccalaureate, so a lot of things were going on, and I was going through this burdensome thing, and this language, this heavy, I mean, some people listen to heavy metal, don't get me wrong, but I was into that heavy bastard Sarastro, describing the pain and the tribulations of these people, and he was reaching out for a higher source. And he was being the perfect priest because he was actually quite moldable as a persona, as a character. Because here he is starting like, so it's very strong, grave, monotonous stuff. And then there's a response from those tenors, the priest is slightly lighter and younger voices and phrases, and all of a sudden he's rising and elaborating his phrases and doing a different phrasing altogether, a different sort of sentence, a different sort of existential path, and he's carrying those needs to those people, to those gods, to the from the people he's representing. I mean, those are priests. But if you think of a cabinet minister, and you have the PM, the prime minister, or the president at the head, this is the guy who carries what the other guy, the local MPs, told him in Parliament, and he changes his bulk, his luggage, his message according to what the people told the chorus of priests or MPs, the local representatives, tell him what people want, and he changes his message altogether. His sentences are changing, his character is changing, he's really rising, and of course he's doubly motivated in strength, and it's really going with passion, expressing himself, but he's also more sentimental in a way, he's more sensitive, and it's higher in pitch. But it's a complete different Sarastro, and it's more reachable, it's more in touch. This is the political staging we have here in the Magic Flute, and I was very always touched by this, and I keep saying this, but there's always this universal character to music because it's so tangible, it's so plasticine, like you can identify to those phrases whether you're Catholic or Muslim, pagan, or you name it, atheist. This is the stuff for mankind, and this is Freemasonry, but it's not a message in the music. It's not a message of Freemasonry. you have this relating father figure, huge, massive bass father figure, Sarastro, who's relating because he decides to relate, because it's his role, but because he is actually flexible in his approach, and is relating and translating this to the gods. What instrument could this be in a context of therapy session? You know, like music therapy. You have a workshop of people, and you have various people who perhaps had a problem with their family and don't have a role model masculine-wise, masculinity-wise, and you know, a masculine role model. I don't mean, you know, I don't want to go into sexual orientation, and that's not what I mean. I'm talking about why are people not using that piece and asking people to analyze and relate to what Sarastro is saying, really, and how much is lifting the other guys up when he's sensing their pain and their crying out. It is a perfect workshop opportunity. I've never heard of somebody doing that in music therapy, and that disturbs me. Actually, it does. I don't like people going, you know, like the xylophone just because you've got depression doesn't mean that you become thick and you just want to play a freaking xylophone. That's terrible. And the great thing about it, you don't need funding. You might pay a couple of royalties, but you might not. You just play the tune, you look at the score, maybe you isolate the voices, you can get that from many libraries, and you listen to the reactions between the male, the dominant figure. So once you have this powerful figure interacting with the smaller figures, and they actually sound much weaker because they got this sort of adolescent and juvenile sort of approach to life. They're dragging on and hesitant and very sort of like almost not opening their mouth to, you know, sort of mouthing and chewing on the sentences. Those are people who don't know life that much. If you have that and you compare it and you ask people to workshop what emotion, what impressions they got from one voice in the chorus to another, from one dynamic in the score to the other, sort of movement can be used as well to express the music. Basic movements and theater workshopping, sort of eye contact and occupying the space, sort of basic theater workshop type can be used for this, to explore the emotional context, to putting patients into this context. I don't see why it's difficult. It doesn't cost money, and it's not, even if it doesn't work, it doesn't damage anyone. It can't possibly. You know, people are exposed to beautiful, positive messages because it's not drowning. It's not a drowning song. It lifts you up. It paints the drowning, but it lifts you up. This is what music by Mozart does. And that's a subject for another analysis, but you know, actually I've got a video on YouTube about this. People can be asked to depict and write about what they feel about every single emotion and how they relate in their lifetime, their life experience to that. That is very healing. If nothing else, that's an opportunity for people to express themselves. I don't know why people don't use this in music therapy. Time for a new era in music therapy. This is my humble little input into the bass thing, and it's in German, so I always get mingled, but you know, that's what I mean by the music is above all that. The gods, I don't care about Isis and Osiris, I don't care. I'm just caring about what the bass is carrying and what the other people are carrying. And I, as a woman in 2015, I relate to these guys. Didn't I say more? My website is midnightnotebook.com. I've got a blog where I put my videos, most of my videos, midnightnotebook.tumblr.com. My name is Saint-Yann. Bye bye.